Yo, 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 what's good? How you guys doing? See, we got a small little group in the stream chat today. It's all good. This is week 4. Dang, a whole month. That flew by fast, right? Like we got to see, let's see, Intro to Digital Arts. We talked about a bunch of cool, crazy stuff. Talked about the history of digital art in its whole maximum of what? 30 years or 30 something years to even vector points and digital graphics that have been like around since the 50s, like in military stuff. And then we looked at making some pixel art. That was dope. And then we covered some digital painting and some Photoshop manipulation work. It's kind of like the whole intro piece, right? From there, digital art, you can expand. You can go all over the place. You can go into 3D. There's animation. There's so much that can be covered. And I think as we push on to the next month and push on to doing more of these kind of art school classes, we'll jump into some of that. I mean, I've done stuff in 3D. I've done some stuff in After Effects. I've done a lot of Photoshop work, a lot of digital illustration in Illustrator. And then now with my crazy toolkit of the iPad, all the crazy stuff that you can do in there. So yeah. So to wrap up this month, touching on digital art, we're going to talk about like work showcase and why that's important. That's something usually you learn in school, and it's actually quite important even after school. It's portfolios and showcasing your work is very critical. Even if you're specifically sticking to NFTs, or if you're looking to get gallery representation, or if you're looking to get assigned to very large projects, collaboration projects. I know myself, I've done stuff with big brands. I've done stuff with just recently the network coloring book. Like that was because of my showcase, because people see my work and they see it and they're like, yo, that'd be dope. It's got skills to kill. So we're going to just talk lightly on how to set yourself up for that and some of the little things that you can do. And then we'll look at some work. But before we start, last week I mentioned that you can submit some of your digital work. I did that TikTok collaboration. We made a coloring book. I have a bunch of them. I want to give them out as prizes. So what I would like to see is if you guys can submit some of your work, either some pixel work, some digital painting, or some Photoshop manipulation work. Submit that now if you have a chance while I'm talking through this lecture, and then towards the end of the stream, we'll look through some of that. Really excited to see what you guys came up with. Again, sticking to the mediums, the either pixel art, digital painting, Photoshop, and it could be either final pieces, it could be some work in progress pieces. Whatever. If you're doing a video art, maybe upload some screenshots, something. We'll just look at them lightly, and then we'll go from there, and then we'll see what we can do in the following months. So let's jump in. So building a portfolio again is pretty important. A lot of people, they underestimate like what a powerful portfolio can do. And why it's beneficial. Now, if you don't know what a portfolio is basically a summary of all your work, like a collective or a collection of all your work. Sometimes I think of my portfolios on the different marketplaces I publish as their own separate bodies of work. So I look at like my makers portfolio, or I look at my super rare portfolio, or I look at my known origin portfolio, and I look at that as like my body of work. I also, when I was in college and I worked on a lot of projects, I would have my yearly portfolios of the different work that I did. And it expands from my fine art work to my digital illustration, even my professional career work that I have. It's good to collect all of that. And so what are some of the benefits? One is it demonstrates consistency. Consistency is important, especially when you're being an artist and having your flavor, having your style. That all comes from your work and your body of work being consistent. So when you look at someone's artwork, like you look at like X Copy's artwork, He's got consistency across the board. Like I can see an X copy piece of work and be like, oh, that's X copy. There's consistency, a certain color palette, certain way he does his line work, his animations, the glitch and grunge effects. That consistency is important because when you're looking to either own a specific piece of work by that artist, or you're looking to have that artist collaborate on a larger project, most of the time you're looking to collaborate because of that consistency. So having a portfolio, even for you personally, or having a portfolio that you can show to clients or show to collectors is important because of the consistency. Also, you can use it to showcase your creative diversity. How expandable are you as an artist? How many mediums can you work in? How many different styles you can work in? How many different technical applications can you work in? Do you have a strong sense of animation or strong sense of or visible composition? How do you work with your colors? What is the diversity in your body of work? That again is something that is really important for showcasing to collectors or showcasing to potential projects that you want to work on, and even just for you to see it yourself. And it's great for archiving work through the years. Again, I love looking back on like my Instagram feed and scrolling back to posts that I've archived from 2013 and 2014 and seeing like my artwork that I would do then compared to the artwork that I do now, and see the evolutionary change of either my aesthetic, my application, my style, all of that. Like it's dope because it's your little memory book. And if you start building up your portfolio and start archiving your work early, showing the change is always cool. You can go back and you can see things that you did and be like, oh snaps, I remember when I was working and I was doing nothing but watercolor crayon sketches, and maybe you want to jump back into that. So you have an example of your work that you used to do, and then you can go back and be like, yo, I want to do that even better. You can generate credibility. So when you're working professionally in the industry, whether you're a contract designer or you're a contract artist or you're doing collaborations or you just have a really solid showcase of work that you have a lot of sales on, or you've done exhibitions, digital or physical exhibitions, that credibility is strong when you're showcasing your work for potential work in the future. And then it just gives you a chance to just show off what you do, right? Show off what you've done and show off like what you can do. I think a showcase body of work, or looking at a piece of work with a description and talking through that project sometimes is really good. So those are just some of the benefits. Some of the uses I kind of already touched on is you could be used for like your sales or marketplace examples. Work for hire work, which I get brought into a lot. If you guys saw the NFT hack website that I did a couple weeks ago for the hackathon with ETH Global last week, that is another portfolio project. Like they hired me to do 2 websites for ETH Global, and like they did that based off of my showcase of work, based off of my credibility and my notability in the industry. And from that, I was able to build up some more notability, or some more credibility even. And then 2, one of the third things is gallery representation. So I dabble in between digital and physical work. And so my physical work, my dream is always to have a gallery represent me, right? Where I can have 20 paintings being sold all over the world. And the way that you land something like that isn't because you have a really strong Twitter presence. It's because you have a strong portfolio, and your portfolio is discovered, or your portfolio is presented to them, and they see something in your work, right? Or they read about you in an article, and that, they see your portfolio and they're like, oh, our gallery would love to sell that type of work. You probably can't see it, but there's a little painting I painted last Friday in the background. I love to jump into physical work. It's fun. And sometimes it's a lot looser than my design work that I do in the digital space, but it's good. And then fourth point, which I touched on, is self-evaluation. Again, I always look back at my work and I judge myself very, very harshly. Sometimes I'm like, ooh, like I was really, really killing it that time, or ooh, that was whack. What were you doing, dude? So it's good for you to just self-evaluate. Makes you a better artist, makes you a stronger artist. If you're not constantly fighting or constantly struggling with creating art and being creative, then you're not learning. You're not being invoked to learn, and that's what makes you powerful as an artist. And again, notability, as we touched on. So types of portfolios. One is hardbound books. Hardbound books are, I think, great. I think those are great to always just stack up and have in your own personal library. I think if you want to get into book publishing, a lot of artists, if you look at like art books, portfolio books for either modern artists or artists from the past, you can see they'll have their bodies of work. I suggest also stocking up on other artists' portfolios. It's always great for reference, seeing technique, inspiration, just being inspired. But you can get hardbound books pretty cheap. There's a lot of web services. I've used Google Photos to publish some paperback books before. Barnes and Nobles has a press. I've also made ebooks and published on Amazon and Kindle, which were not hardbound, but they're digital PDFs using InDesign. You can stack them up. I actually have one on Kindle and Apple Books. That's a series of dip pen illustrations that I did back in 2012, which I just had a sketchbook. I scanned them all. I put them into InDesign. I bound them, and then I uploaded it to Google Books. And like it's a type of portfolio. It's a book. It's a collection of work that I did from a very long time ago. 9 years ago, 10 years ago. So books, I think, having something tangible is always great. And if you're working digitally, whether it's video work or it's digital animated illustration, sometimes having something tangible is dope. Give it to your mom. Give it to your your mom and dad are always going to be proud of the artwork that you create. Give it to them, or pass it down to your kids. Like someone's going to appreciate it somewhere. And it's also good just to have on hand by yourself. I was looking at Barnes and Nobles. You can do a 50 to 100 page, 11 and a half by 8.5 inch full color hardbound book for $15. Not bad. If you were watching week 2, you know that you gotta have your resolutions right when you're working with that kind of printing format. Personal website. Again, I have a personal website. I use Squarespace, even though I am a web developer, and I should have my own personal, really beautifully built web page. I just don't like managing it, so I use Squarespace. But you could build a personal website. You can use WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, any CMS system. I prefer using something like Squarespace personally because of the amount of content that I have to have. And it's optimized for SEO, it's optimized for marketing. So it just makes my life a little bit easier. There's also a lot of really good examples of templates you can use that are very minimalist. So you can focus on, you don't have to put too much personal branding in there. But having a personal website is always really good. Lock down your username or lock down your realname.com. It's good for having your online presence. And again, online presence now more than ever has been so important. One of the reasons why my name is Franky Nines is because I couldn't find my full name. I couldn't get that as my Instagram. I couldn't get that as my Twitter name. So I had to come up with a pseudonym, so that way I have that username across the board. I have frankynines.com, twitter.com/frankynines, Instagram Franky Nines. So that consistency across the board, paired with my personal website, anytime someone searches my name, they don't have a busy time finding me. So having a personal website, having online presence is key. There's artist networks like Behance, DeviantArt. Adobe I believe owns Behance. Dribbble is another really good one. Again, if you're if you're going and building work on these marketplaces like Makers or Foundation, you can almost sort of build a portfolio. I would suggest separating out what you sell versus what you show. I think a lot of artists in the digital space, they automatically think that you have to tokenize and sell everything you create. You don't necessarily have to, especially with some of the flood and saturation of the NFT marketplace. Like, some of your projects might be, maybe you want to showcase your concept sketches. You don't necessarily need to sell those. Like those might need to be in a portfolio somewhere so people can see maybe your thought process in work or a way that you work. So yeah, I would suggest, even if you're not publishing on those artist networks, but diving into them, looking at them, using them for inspiration. And then again, like, it's not going to hurt you. I have a Pinterest set up, and I pin all of my work under one giant Pinterest board. And I mean, like every project I've worked on, it works as a portfolio, but also people can go to my website as a portfolio. DeviantArt, I think I just have the usernames. I don't think I uploaded any work. Social networks, powerful. Instagram, you have, as I mentioned, Pinterest is a social network. Facebook, really strong portfolios, which we'll look at. We'll look at a couple portfolios here in a second. The social network presence sometimes is really, really good because it also, not only for showcasing your work, but helps you connect with people and helps people like connect with you on a deeper level, to where they can actually get to know you personally, right? Like they get a sense of your personality aside from your work. And sometimes that's important because, maybe you create very powerful work, but your work, to the expression level of your work, comes from the flavor that you bring in your personality on your social media presence, right? I think like some of the mysterious NFT creators, or some mysterious crypto art creators, they still have like a very strong social presence. Even though you might not know their real name or what they look like, you just know them by their artwork. You can sometimes kind of get a sense of their personality, and that makes them more human, and people connect more to people that are more humanized. Unless it's a Furby toy, right? Gotta love Furby, or a Tamagotchi, you're gonna connect to it. So defining your work. Here's an example of a painting that I did. When you're creating your portfolio, whether it's a hardbound book or you're putting your work online, defining the year, the medium, the location, the title, the size, descriptions, tools used, those are all really, really important, because some of those things might make your work value higher, right? Like this piece, for instance, this is a 42 by 52 inch canvas that I painted in acrylic in 2019. And I painted it here in Las Vegas. But I also have a body of work that I painted while I was in Mexico. And I have a body of work that I painted when I lived in London. So those different time periods and those different location points and the different mediums used, whether it be acrylic, whether it be digital, watercolor, pencil sketches, and even the size, 42 by 52 inches is quite large. That's like, I think I buy my canvases 72 inch by the roll, which is about 6 foot. And then I cut them down and stretch them even lower. So about 52, 55 inches is usually where I'm at. And that's a pretty large canvas. Like I can't really transport it without having like a big box truck. But where I painted it, the title, the description, does your work have a description? When you upload work to your Makers or any of these NFT galleries, you have to provide a description. How do you write your description? Sometimes I read descriptions like, what is it? Is he writing a poem, or like, what is this? Like, what is the description of your work? Maybe it's the mood that you were in when you painted it. Maybe it's what inspired you to create this. Maybe it's, It's the story of how you created it, right? Maybe you ran out of a certain color of paint, or your battery died on your iPad and you had to go and boot it up and plug it into a bus station wall socket because you're a traveling gypsy. Maybe that's the story behind your work. That could be very, very interesting. Organizing your content. A way that you can organize, and this is, again, I think good for like archiving your body of work, is organizing by the year is always interesting. This is a Damian Hurst website, and you can see his work dates back all the way to 91. That's 20 years ago. And he has all of his body of work from the different exhibitions and the different categories, whether it be his formaldehyde work, his like taxidermy stuff, and even like his digital, or not his digital, but his fine art pieces. You can see that he categorizes them all. And we'll click on his website and dive in, because I think as a portfolio of a collection of work for a time chunk, this is dope, because again, you can see the evolution of his work. You can see the different materials that he started adapting or experimenting with. I like to think of like artists as like inventors, right? What makes us creative as artists is like our ability to look at something and to identify and to be able to replicate, but also our ability to be creative and imaginative and like inventive. Some of the most compelling artists outside of like the digital space were always kind of inventing. Like even if you look at like Leonardo da Vinci, right? Like da Vinci was like a master artist, but he was also an engineer. He was also a sculptor. He was like, or Michelangelo was also a sculptor. Like da Vinci was contracted and built war tools, because he was so creative that he was like, oh, I could invent this. Like he invented a helicopter. He invented like all these different tools and weapons for I think the Medici family, I think is who it was. So like artists are, explosive with creativity, inventive, right? It's not just about like, I can paint really good. Yeah, you can paint really good, but you also got to be able to explore. And even when you're working with different mediums, like probably one of the most fun things that I love about painting and acrylic work is the fact that I'm constantly just experimenting. I'm like, okay, I'm going to mix these mediums. I'm going to mix these two colors. I'm going to see how this works. I'm always experimenting before I'm actually applying my paint. And that's the fun. I always feel like a chemist or something when I'm mixing up colors, because I'm like, I love to challenge myself and only use primary colors, like use red, blue, and yellow, and mix all of my colors from that. It's so much fun. Like it's like a little self challenge where I'm like, I wonder, can I make skin color using just 3 primaries and a white and a black? Yeah, I can. Figured out how. All right, review. So we're gonna look at some portfolios. I'm gonna see if we got any responses. Ooh, we got a couple responses. We got Zarni, Deadly Lettuce, DC's got some pieces up in here. Well, look, I'm gonna give you guys another 10, 15 minutes. If you guys want to submit any work, I'll post the link again in the stream chat. So I definitely want to see what you guys got. You guys can't just watch a stream for 4 weeks in a row and not contribute, yo. What's up with that? All right, dropped the Google link in stream chat. So let's get you guys to submit some work, sketches or even work in progress, and we'll look at those. We'll see what you guys got. In the meantime, I'm going to pull up some really great, strong artist showcases that we can kind of just look and see. We're going to pull up Mr. Alex Pardee. We're going to look and see like how he showcases his work and organizes it, specifically his portfolio. So if you guys don't know Alex Pardee, I think I showed some of his work last week. Digital painting work. His stuff is amazing. I've known Alex for years. He just recently got into the crypto space. So seeing his work now that you can buy it as an NFT, it's like so exciting. I actually have some of his comic books from when I was like in high school, and we did an art show with him here in my space last year, and I got to get one of his AP's prints, which I have framed, and I'm like, this is I own an Alex piece. It's dope. But looking at his portfolio, very, very clean, big focus on the work. You notice that like he has his logo and he has his brand, but he also has stuff broken out by the categories. He's got bright mirrors, he's got deadlines, he's got sketches, and then he has a shop. Alex is, as an artist, like he's always been big in the comic space and in the Comic-Con space. And so he's really, really good at merchandising his work. But you notice like his work here, it's very clean. Like you get a general sense of all of the body of work together. But like what you can really identify is, again, consistency, right? Like there's something about his work that all feels unified. And even though some of these pieces were created gaps of years in between, they all look like they came from the same artist. And so being able to put all your work up and see it all in one big body is really the important thing here. And again, that's not only for showcasing your work, but also for you as an artist to review yourself. Again, like I look at my work sometimes and I'm like, okay, yeah, I got the consistency down. But we can click on one of his pieces, see the magnified view. Doesn't look like we have any information on them, like the title or the size or dates or anything, but let's look at some of the deadlines. Again, a lot of consistency. It looks like instead of organizing his work by the year, he's kind of organized his work by the theme or the project. Bright mirrors being like his very colorful monsters, and then the deadlines being like these more black and white sketches, which are all still very tight and still all fit. They all have a really good consistency. It even looks like some of these are sketches from his bright mirrors that are fully painted and colored, which is pretty cool. And then let's look at his sketch work. Some of these are really old. I think some of these go back, but these are like sketches. Sketches I always thought were great as a portfolio category because it shows your thought process. I still do, if anybody's worked with me on like a professional project, I always jump in with blue line sketches because I always show like my thought process around how I came up with something. And then I make little notes for myself, which I like to read afterwards. So yeah, great example of great portfolio. Let's go back into Damian Hurst. Damian Hurst's portfolio, he's kind of a crazy artist. But what I love about looking at his work is it's so diverse. It's like, it's not just painting, it's sculpture, it's like performance work, it's all over the place. But when you look at his portfolio, like he's got years cataloged. It looks like it only went up to 2014, even though the dude's been still making artwork. He still makes artwork today. But you can see the history of his work all the way back. You know, like look at this body of work. He's got his it says these are 2015. He's got like some arrows. He's got his dot work, consistency. And I mean, this is pages. This goes to 69 pages. Like, wow. Like that's a big body of work. All of these pieces are essentially, they almost look the same, but each one is different because each one is, it's almost like the guy is creating blockchain art. Each piece is unique. I think these are some of he's got some 2017s in here. This dot work, you can almost see, again, like I was talking about, like the evolution of someone's work, right? Like the simplicity of those dots from 2016, 2015, like very circle, very limited color palette, all shared across the board, to even rough, like a more rough approach. The dots aren't quite circular. They're not as spaced out as far. So you can kind of see that evolution work. And you almost want to think like, what was he thinking when he transitioned from doing that style of work to evolve it to the next one? Let's look at Tristan Eaton. You can see his piece. He's a muralist, but he also does digital work, and he does He has physical paintings that you can buy as well. His project, like, coming to his portfolio, not only his online presence, he did the branding for the Super Bowl last year. He did the ticket design and branding for the Super Bowl. And so how he landed that gig, aside from just being a really, really killer artist, was most likely the consistency of his work and his portfolio, right? And for him to do that, to get that gig, like, definitely they were going for a certain aesthetic. They didn't just like dice roll and they're like, hey, let's get a random artist. They like got this artist and they're like, yo, this would be perfect. But you can see, like, when you look at his paintings, he's got the names of his paintings: Weekend Special, American Doves. And when we look at the work, again, we can see the medium, spray paint on canvas. We can see the size, 36 by 48 inch. We can see the year. And then you get examples of the work itself. And again, his work is absolutely beautiful. His spray paint applications, color usage, the way he pops his work with like the shadows, his work is all really, really beautiful. But you can see the consistency, again, looking at these different pieces that might be created in different time periods, and even in different mediums. They all have consistency. This one was 2016. You could see the 2016 work to the 2018 work. It's all consistent, but you can even see that, like, I mean, these actually look pretty spot on. It doesn't look like he changed much. Like, maybe his portraiture work got a little bit, he got tighter with it, or maybe his graphical work, or the way that he pops the shadows, or the amount of detail, right? Like, as an artist, as you get further and further and further into experimenting and learning, I always think too of, like, painting is muscle memory. In the same way that you go out, even drawing too, the more you do it, the more muscle memory you build, the easier it gets. And so then you're able to challenge yourself further. Things get easier, right? So then you can make things better and better and better. But yeah, great body of work. Let's see what he has, past editions. Ooh, look at this. That 3D effect on here is wild. So it looks like this was a 3D print, 24 by 42 inch, released in 2018. He came with some custom designed 3D glasses. That's pretty dope. That's a really, really good example of creating work that isn't just a flat piece, being experimentative, like being willing to try things for your work. So one great example, which I've seen a couple of these, is not only the work that people do in async, but people that explore AR, people that explore, look at Beeple's collection where he gave out those light boxes of his work, like expanding what your work is and how you present it, sell it, showcase it. It's always interesting. It's always fun to kind of think outside the box. Let's go back to his portfolio. Yeah, like, he's got some spray can work. Yeah, these are absolutely amazing. Let's look at artist Nitro's. See what Nitro's got. Let's see. He's got some stuff. Is this Nitro's? Let's see. If you guys aren't familiar with Nitro's, his work is pretty awesome too. I thought he had a website. It's got a Tumblr. That's another way you showcase your work. Tumblr, who had a Tumblr? Let's check out his Instagram. His Instagram is like a pretty strong portfolio too. Not only just the murals, but some of the sketches and some of the work. What's cool about like social media and showcasing your work in something like Instagram and Pinterest is, like, you can show it by date, right? Like, you can kind of see the history. And again, like, you can scroll down and see even further. And for some of those people that have their work archived from the early 2010s or or mid 2010s, like you can see the evolution of the body of work. Here we got a lot of murals as we get further down. Let's see what year this is. This is just last year, 2020. Like he's got man, this guy's pumping out a lot of work. Look at that, 2020, 2021. I was hoping to see, he's got a website. Don't got a website, but he's got a nifty gateway. Check that out. Dang, that's crazy. That's some detailed animation. That's dope. Cool. All right. Now let's see. We got some submissions. Let's see how many more submissions we got. Still only got 3 submissions. Where you guys at? Well, I'm going to pull some of these up anyways. Okay, let's see who we got first. We got Zarni. So Zarni submit. Gen Z's suck. Okay, boomer. This is an interesting piece of work. This let's see. This is titled Okay Boomer. No description. But Zarni made this, and it looks like this is a Photoshop manipulation piece. Great colors, great use of typography. I always love wavy typography. I love too, like how the tubes of work. Like I could only almost imagine this being animated and rotating. Yeah, pretty cool. Great colors though. I mean, it's simple, like simplicity in the color form. But that's a good red. Red always contrasts really sharp with black too, which is cool. And it's not like too much, right? It looks great. All right, let's check out another piece. Let's see, we got Deadly Lettuce. If I could get it open. Check it out. Look at that tomato. This is a great piece. Who we got this? I think DC, did you, or Deadly Lettuce, name Maggie M. Yeah, this is the tomato robber. Part of the series from Deadly Vegetables. Check it out. What does he got? He's got a little bandit mask. He's got a little bag of whale. Look at these great little flowers too. Yeah, this is awesome. This is like a nice little digital illustration piece. This is this one's pretty great. I love the character. The character is like he's a tomato robber. I mean, he's coming up he's trying to catch up to get catched up. Great work. Okay, let's see what we got next. Yeah, you guys gotta be putting in these submissions, yo. Decryptolorian, what you got? Ooh, we got an animated piece. This is a GIF here with some Photoshop manipulation on it and some animation. Love the simplicity in the colors. Like bringing those colors down is cool. What you can do, like what you get here, is great composition with this black, right? What I mean by that is there's a good balance here. There's a good balance in the left side and the right side, and the bottom kind of almost looks like it's holding the piece up. And then having that animation focused in the middle brings that focal point in. It's cool here too is the pulsing animation, the loop. It's nice, and it's like not too jarring, and it's kind of like almost ambient, which is pretty awesome. And again, I love the color usage here. Red with pink and yellow. It's like when you think of your colors being like on a, is that analog side of the color wheel of the spectrum, where it's not too harsh in contrast, but paired with the black and white really makes it strong. This is a great piece of work. The animation is great too. All right, looks like we only got one mo. Soybean. Is it soybean or bean? Bean. Yeah, there we go. We got some pixel work. That's what I was waiting for. Soybean. Dope. Yeah. I think when we were doing the first pixel exercise, you submitted some in the stream chat, and I was like, "Yo, check it out." This is a great piece. This is awesome. This is super fun. Love the little character here. Did a great job with the pixel. And is this a flowers here? Flowers? Yeah, these are great. It's like a little chomper head. Yeah, this is super fun. I love too how it's kind of it's mixed. It's almost like a mixed composition of pixel, and then there's some like photo manipulation in there and some digital paint. So you basically hit all three of the mediums. The title of work, place to be. So it sees. Reading the description, using some of the hard edges and pixels and the digital painting work. This is a really cool piece. Great work. Great job. I love the colors too. Colors. I always love colors that are like very like candy. It's like candy for your eyes, right? No, this is great. Great piece. Yeah, all four pieces that were submitted were rockstar. You guys, hopefully next stream season, when we do another one of these, we'll get some more submissions for all of y'all that didn't submit. I'm looking at you through the stream camera. I look forward to seeing more of you guys' work. And I think probably in the next stream course, we're going to explore some deeper tutorials, busting out and really seeing like how far can we press Photoshop, how far can we push Procreate, and then possibly jumping into some animation. I noticed that like on a lot of the websites like Nifty Gateway and like Foundation, there's a lot of heavy animated work, and so for some of us that don't have the animation tools, what are some simple ways to make animations? Whether it be, a simple GIF in Photoshop, or using After Effects to do some puppetry, even using some 3D cameras in After Effects, which is, it sounds hard, but it's actually pretty easy. There's some tricks that you can do to make it work. So I think, on the future streams, I'm going to start planning out kind of some of the course outline, and maybe we'll make the entire 4 weeks just an After Effects class. So if you guys jump back into the previous weeks that we went over digital tools, Adobe, get the master collection, get After Effects, get your PC ready, and we'll jump into it. All right, so I'm gonna leave the last 10 minutes ish up for like some Q&A. We'll jump in on the chat. What you guys got? What you guys got for me? Yeah, After Effects is great. I think, let me see. I don't have After Effects open right now. Sometimes there's a puppet tool in After Effects that's really good, really great to use. I used it for, let me see. You guys want to see an old school portfolio project of mine? That's something. Dive into the old Dropbox, where I keep all the old school stuff. Yeah, here's some examples of some portfolios. So this is from 2017. I had some apparel graphics that I did for this brand Hype Death, but I also did a series of emojis that for a skateboarding company called Grizzly. We launched an app on the App Store. This was like a fun little illustration chunk that I did. I built these, I think, in Photoshop. That's where I did all of this, but consistency was like the big key here. I mean, when you're making emojis, for sure. Another like portfolio piece that I did was I did all these like animated rapper heads, which were pretty fun. I did these in Illustrator. These were like super fun to work with because they're just simple. Like I was going for like a South Park kind of vibe for these. Look at Snoop Dogg, Gucci Mane. We got a little Yachty right here. It's Tupac, 21 Savage. This was another character design project that I did where I was animating these guys using After Effects. And the way that I was doing it when I built out these little puppets for their bodies was I was using the pin tool, the mesh tool, to create animated puppets. And then using the different eyes shapes and the different mouths, I was able to swap frames and to get them to talk. So maybe when we do After Effects, we'll do a little example of some puppetry animation. That could be a really fun project. No More Parties in LA. This was another little sticker pack that I did for the App Store. This was like a good one. I think I did these in Illustrator. These were like super fun to draw up. Consistency, right? One of the things that's like crazy when you look at those different projects is the different rules that I kind of set for myself. That's one thing when it comes to like doing art direction for work is you set rules. Right, the rules here were black outlines, white highlights, very thin lines, line work, also the color palette. Then I had some fine art pieces. This was all for like drop shipping pieces, like Photoshop for on-demand canvas prints that I did. Again, kind of like set the rules. They're all kind of like grungy. This is all Photoshop work. These were all like really fun to make. Different like poster designs that were sold on like Zazzle and Redbubble. Really fun little body of work. I think I did this also for this. It was like this is an old project. This is 2017, but these are all like animal, this pug. These are all animal themed pop art pieces that I did. I did a big series of them. The pug one is the best. Look at that pug. He's just floating. He's floating on. Yeah, these were awesome. I forgot about all these works. I haven't seen these for years, so I don't know. I've made so much artwork and throughout my career, it's nuts. Yeah, these are all like great examples of pop art pieces. Here goes a Wolf on Wall Street. That pug was great. Ooh, the balloon animals. I remember this one. This one was great. Yeah, and these were all printed on canvas. These were all canvas wrapped and sold on the e-store. Ooh, this was a good one. This was for this nonprofit in Los Angeles. I did like a whole Latino arts aesthetic for their print books. I also designed out like their flyers and did all their visual aesthetic for their annual like print fair. But I designed out these like really awesome like little illustrated annual fund brochures, which was cool. And this was one of the final pieces that I did that I had on display. I built this like big collage of flower skulls. This was one of the examples. I always thought that was like a pretty fun, beautiful project. The one thing that I used all the flowers from all the flowers that had come from Mexico, like native flowers. Ooh, and then I did I built a website for Dia de los Muertos, and I took a bunch of artwork from one of these I forgot his name. He's a Mexican, or like he's like an illustrator from Mexico. Took a bunch of his work and I built an interactive website that moved and changed depending on where you scrolled. And so it went through the history and story of the Aztec gods down to the underworld, which was pretty cool. The end. Let's see. I got another portfolio project for you. Let's see what else I got. Oh yeah, this is another great series of work. When I worked at Zynga, I was a character artist, and so I did the branding and visual art direction for a game called Dream Zoo, which this was years ago. This almost 10 years ago. But I did all the character design and did like props and different things. But the way that we animated this was really, really cool. Because all these characters were like animated and they all walked around and stuff. And so we used After Effects as our prototyping tool. And then we built a 3D engine to animate these 2D puppets. Very similar to the game Parappa the Rappa, if you remember that one. But this was a fun little illustration work. And then, I had to illustrate out doobers and little things like this. It's like little icons in the game. Yeah, Parappa the Rapper, there it is. The little different environments. This was a cool game concept that I did for a game that we were building with the Draw Something tool, or Draw Something team, called Tag Something. And it was a word guessing game where you lived in this world of like animated characters. I think I was watching a lot of Cartoon Network at the time. so that's like kind of how that came about. But I did all these like cool little character designs. I had a little 8-bit dinosaur, which I thought was pretty tight. Ooh, this boombox was cool too. There was this apple, he had a worm in his head. I'm pretty sure that meant like the worm was taking over his personality or something. It was like controlling him. Oh, and the cool thing was the words that you would choose in the game would make these little graffiti stickers. So I had to build up a way to procedurally generate graffiti stickers for any type of words that you wanted. And so I came up with the different templates and different alphabets, but it's basically built up like a font book. And then different effects, like whether it be little splashes or bubbles on the outside. It was pretty fun. This was for a game that we worked on called Villainville, where I built up a weapon engine for a game that was like, you could build your own like, was it Despicable Me? What are those, the minions? It was like you built your own like little minions, like warlord cave or something. But I built these guns that could evolve. So you'd have like a stage 1 gun, and then you could get different pieces for it. Like you could get a shark. This gun here, it shot sharks. And then like this one had like flame coming out of it, or a saw. It was fun. This one had a scorpion tail. This one shot a bird or a drill. But the guns would evolve, and so they could all piece together. It was like game assets. Oh, and then I had to do a bunch of character development. So basically just came up with a bunch of different characters for like how these bots came about. I was like, well, maybe the bots were robots and they were green because they were covered in boogers and then they got clothes. I don't know. My imagination goes places sometimes. I don't even know where it goes. I think this had to be at least, this is probably, I did all this like 9 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago. Crazy. This was some storyboarding for some concept animation work for how the characters would get destroyed, which was pretty fun. Like it could be lit on fire, it could be electrocuted, it could be frozen. This one was popped, like grabbed onto a bubble and exploded, smashed. Some different ways that you could like destroy your little characters, or shot with a laser gun. These are the Snoopify assets. These are fun. This is like more art direction. More definition. I worked with another artist on this, so I was kind of more just organizing how the artwork needed to be put together. This was another project for identifying, setting rules and consistency guidelines for emojis, and then making rapper emojis. Check it out, it's Lil Wayne. I worked on a project for Family Guy. That was a long time ago. And Ray Shremmerd. Ha! Cool. That's it. That's all I got for y'all today. Hopefully that was somewhat informative and somewhat inspiring. Hope to see you guys next month. I'm probably going to take a week to write up some syllabus stuff so we can figure out what we want to jump into. And yeah, hope to see you guys submit some projects, get some work in. And yeah, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. This was a fun 4-week little digital intro course. I might ask you guys' help. I'm gonna post like a little survey, maybe, to kind of figure out what some of the good things that you guys learned, some of the takeaways, and then hopefully we can evolve this to getting down. I mean, I just showed you guys like a ton of my work, so you can see a ton of variation. So any knowledge that you want to soak up, I'm willing to give it all out to you guys. So you just got to tell me what you want to learn, and I'll show you how it's done. All right, that's it, fam. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Thanks again. Have a good rest of your week. It's Taco Tuesdays. Go get some tacos. Adios.